Most of us grew up thinking inheritance is something you pass on when you're gone, that it's meant for your children later in life. But if you really think about it, do they actually need our money the most when they're already established in their 40s or 50s? Or do they need it when they're just starting out, when they're 21, when they're choosing what to study, what job to take, and whether they can afford to take risk? That's the question that I've been thinking about. I don't have kids of my own, don't be mistaken, but I have two nieces. And instead of waiting for decades to leave something behind, I'm building something for them now. $150 a month invested consistently until they turn 21. It might not look like much today, but with time and compounding, it could become one of the most meaningful gifts I'll ever give. And in today's video, I'll break down exactly how this works, the numbers, the assumptions, and why I chose this structure. Even if you don't have kids, this applies to you. Maybe you're saving for early retirement. Maybe you're building towards a house down payment. The principle is the same. It's not about starting big, it's about starting early, building a system, and staying consistent long enough for time to do the heavy lifting and never belittle small beginnings. I hope today's video will help you one way or another. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Let's go. I have two nieces, one just turned 3 and the other is just 6 months old. For both of them, I'm investing $150 a month. That's $1,800 a year invested in a broad market ETF, something diversified for the long term, until they are in their early 20s. Assuming a conservative 6% annual return over 20 years, this portfolio could potentially grow to 70,000 Singapore dollars. I'm not timing the market, I'm also not picking individual stocks. I'm just letting time and compounding do its magic. Compare that to simply saving $150 a month in a bank. Over 20 years, that's $36,000, no volatility, no market ups and downs, but also no real growth. And that's before adjusting for inflation, which also means that in real purchasing power terms, that $36,000 will be worth less 20 years from now. I automated this using the regular savings plan on Moomoo. On February 5th, the first investment was made. And I made a deliberate choice to keep this completely separate from my own investments. Because to me, intention is really everything. It has one job and one job only. It's for my nieces. I've learned that when money has a clear purpose, you're less likely to touch it, second guess it, or mix it up with other goals. That's also the reason why I separated my Singapore stocks from my US investments on different platforms. Different goals, different timelines, different buckets. When money has a clear job, it's much easier to stay disciplined. When everything is mixed together, it becomes easier to justify touching it. I know some of you are thinking, what about dividend withholding taxes? What about US estate taxes? Valid concerns, but let's break it down simply. If you invested directly in a US domicile ETF like VOO, there is a 30% dividend withholding taxes for Singapore investors. So if the ETF pays you $100 in dividends, you'll only receive $70. Now in this case, I'm not investing for the dividend. This is a long-term growth portfolio, and the S&P 500 dividend yield is roughly around 1 to 1.5% historically. So even after withholding taxes, the impact on total long-term returns is relatively small compared to the overall capital growth. But for this portfolio, I'm just prioritizing simplicity, accessibility, and the ease of automation, not squeezing every last 0.2% out. Let me give you a real example from my own portfolio. I reinvested my Singapore stock dividends into the US market using the same regular savings plan on Moomoo, and I invested in QQQ. The idea behind this is grouping monies for my Singapore investment together in one account. In January, after the dividend withholding taxes, I received $1.64 on a total invested amount of USD $1,042. Today, this portfolio is worth around USD $1,240, and that's close to a 20% growth. Now think about that for a moment. People often focus heavily on the 30% dividend withholding taxes, but in this case, the dividend itself was small. The growth came from capital appreciation, the increase in the value of the ETF, and not the dividends. The other big concern that people bring up is US estate taxes. If a non-US person passes away holding more than $60,000 in US assets, estate taxes can apply. That's the threshold, but applying it to this portfolio, I'm investing 150 Singapore dollars a month for about 20 years, projecting it at a 6% annual returns, this portfolio would grow to 70,000 Singapore dollars. That's still below the USD $60,000 at today's exchange rates. So if anything were to happen to me within this period of time, this specific portfolio on its own would not cross the estate tax threshold. That's the math. Of course, estate planning should look at your overall total exposure to the US stock market, not just one account. But for someone just starting out investing $100, $200 a month, building gradually, this is not an immediate concern. I've always believed that when you're just starting out, not everything needs to be perfectly optimized from day one. You're not locked in forever. You can restructure later. You can switch to an Ireland domicile ETF later, like what I did and I shared in this video as well. The most important thing in the beginning isn't about tax optimization. It's about getting started. And more importantly, learning how to manage your emotions when the markets go up and down. Before I get into how I set this up on Moomoo, just a quick upfront disclaimer that this video is partly sponsored by Moomoo, but the portfolio idea was not their idea. I just shared my intention to build this portfolio for my nieces earlier on Instagram in this post over here on screen, and that wasn't sponsored. This is something I chose to do on my own because they mean the world to me. My sister also didn't know about it until she saw my Instagram post. Now with that said, let me show you exactly how I set this up using the regular savings plan on Moomoo. Let's go. I'm not going to manually make this investment every single month. Just like how I reinvested my Singapore stock dividends, I'm using Moomoo's regular savings plan to automate this. If I have to remember to transfer money, convert currency, and press buy every month, you know how that will pan out. I did cover in this video over here. Automation removes that friction, and for someone who sleeps at 10 p.m. daily when the US stock market opens at 10:30 Korea time, this is definitely a lifesaver. Now, on some other platforms, you actually need to set up two separate standing instructions. One is to transfer money into your brokerage account. Second is then set up the recurring buy order for the stock or ETF. That's two-step. But with Moomoo's regular savings plan, I can set up everything directly in the app. Here's how it works. First, I create a regular savings plan. Then I select the paying account. In this case, I choose my bank account. This part is important because if you choose Moomoo's margin account, you still have to manually fund the margin account before the scheduled buy date. So I prefer linking it directly to my bank account, and there's just automation happening in the background. There's also a difference in minimum amounts. If you selected margin accounts, the minimum buy is USD $5. For bank accounts, the minimum is SG $10. Currency exchange happens automatically when the investment is made, and you can choose the frequency as well. Weekly, every 2 weeks, monthly, and even daily. For this portfolio, I chose monthly, set it once, let it run in the background. As of filming this video, the investment for March has already been made. For US market, there are lifetime commission-free trades. However, platform fees will still apply. For fractional share trading, meaning lesser than one full share, the fee is 0.99% of the transaction value, capped at 99 cents per order. Cost exchange-related fees will still apply. So this is my first RSP purchase that was done on 5th February. $150 directly deducted from my bank account that I chose. Currency exchange happened automatically, and the total fee incurred was $1.08. No manual FX conversions, no additional steps. User experience is extremely important to me when choosing an investment platform, especially as a beginner. When I first started investing in 2023, I realized something. If the friction is high, you'll naturally delay investing. You'll postpone the transfer, you'll forget to convert currency, and then you'll skip a month. It happened to me before. I wasn't perfect from day one, and that inconsistency matters more than small differences in fees. Some platforms may offer more exchanges, slightly better FX rates, or more advanced features, but if the user experience is difficult, especially when you're just starting out, it may not be worth it. The best platform is the one that allows you to stay consistent. Just use the RSP calculator to get a gauge. What if you had stayed consistent with investing since 3 years ago? Just an example to illustrate this. 100 USD a month invested in a broad markets index fund ETF, the portfolio growth is 25%. Of course, past return is not an indication of how the markets will perform 20 years later. Investing returns are never guaranteed. I personally use Moomoo for my Singapore stocks portfolio and have done various videos on this. I'll link up above and down in the description box below. If you're looking to kickstart your investment journey, consider Moomoo Singapore. I am a partner, and here's an exclusive sign-up reward for new users if you use my link, or if you've signed up before but have not deposited, apply the code DEMI88 and get up to $1,864 worth of sign-up rewards simply by depositing $3,000 within 30 days and receive $40 worth of NVIDIA fractional shares and $30 trading coupon. The more you deposit, the more rewards you receive, and not only that, you enjoy 1 year commission-free trades in the Singapore stock market, the very reason that got me started investing on Moomoo. I'll leave more details down in the description box below, and if you have any questions, join my Telegram community and ask away over there. I don't think I'll have kids of my own. Some of you might say that it's too early to know for sure, and maybe it is, but I'm already 30 this year, and the thought of raising another human being honestly scares me a little, but I'm really grateful that I have my nieces, all thanks to my sister. And in many ways, this is what I would have done if I had kids of my own. One day when they're older, I imagine telling them this. It's not a lot, but it's for your dreams and passions, from EE to you. Use it well. That's really all this is. Not a complicated strategy, not aggressive investing, just something small done consistently over time. I'm looking forward to settling down back in Singapore later this year, being more present, spending more time with them, and being more involved in their lives. At the end of the day, money is important. It's a means to an end, but nothing matters more than the relationships we build and the people we share life with. That's all I have for today's video. If you haven't started investing for your future self or for someone that you care about, maybe this video is your sign. I'll catch you guys in my next one, and as usual, have a good week ahead. Bye-bye.